Stand clear of the closing door, please.
What is up, you guys? Welcome to the stream as the New York Mets just barely squeak a 3-2 victory out over the Yankees in this one. Game 2 of the Subway Series, and this one was tight from start to finish. The Mets, like I said, just barely able to do enough to get this one and even up the Subway Series between the two New York teams here over the weekend as they improve to 12 games back over 500. Let's get into it, guys. What's up? I'm Tony Metro. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. I do post-game live streams and daily Mets content here on the channel. Also, be sure to give this video a like if you're a big Mets fan. If you're a Yankees fan, why not? We chat baseball here. And if you're a big Knicks fan, go New York, go New York, go to the Eastern Conference Finals. Let's take out the Pacers. So be sure to subscribe if you guys want to check out all the Mets stuff that I do here on the channel. You can also follow me on all my different platforms, on TikTok, on Instagram, and on Twitter. All the links to those are in the description down below. But let's get into this game tonight. The Mets barely pulling out a 3-2 win over the Yankees in this one. And wow, I was really concerned about how this game was going to go. I got to be honest with you. I did not have a very good feeling about today's game a couple innings in. The Mets were doing what we've seen from them a lot the last couple of games, and that's just not coming up with that big hit. And then when they finally do, they get a runner thrown out at home plate. And the Yankees are getting nickel and dime base hits on the infield. The Mets are hitting line drives right at the Yankees. DJ LeMahieu's hitting a pop-up home run to right field to give the Yankees the lead in this one, and I'm thinking this is just going to be one of those games. This is just going to be one of those games that I'm going to be so annoyed about. We're not going to end up winning it, and somehow in the end, the Mets do just barely scratch out enough runs to take the Yankees out today. So let's go to the box scores. Let's take a look at how this one went down. Griffin Canning taking on Clark Schmidt in this one. They matched with zeros in the first two innings. And then in the bottom of the third, like I said, the aforementioned DJ LeMahieu hits an opposite field can of corn, as Keith Hernandez would say, Del Monte tomato can pop up to right field, but it was a Yankee Stadium special. Somehow gets out over that 333 wall out in right field, and the Yankees are out to a 1-0 lead. But fortunately, the Mets' top of the order came through in the fourth inning, as it was Pete Alonso, Francisco Lindor getting aboard, Juan Soto as well. Pete had an RBI base hit in that one, and the Mets would get a sacrifice fly from not from Brandon Nimmo. That would have been from, who was it that got that hit or that sacrifice fly? I believe it was Mark Vientos with the sacrifice fly out to left field. Very nearly got all of that one. The Mets would get the bases loaded, though, in that fourth inning, and it looked like they were poised to break this one open. Luis Torrens drew a walk to put the bases loaded for Brett Baty, and Baty, first pitch swinging, actually off the bat, looked like that ball was way out of right field, especially at Yankee Stadium, especially after you had just seen the inning prior. DJ LeMahieu just poked that one out for a home run the opposite field, and it just dies on the warning tracker, really right in front of it for Aaron Judge to catch. And that was another frustrating moment. Obviously, we know the Mets have been so poor with runners in scoring position this year, hitting just .222. That's among the worst in the league. Yesterday, they were just 2 for 11 with runners in scoring position. They left 9 on base, and that fourth inning with the bases loaded was clearly their best opportunity to score in this game. And the Mets really didn't do a whole lot offensively after that. Obviously, Cody Bellinger comes and hits a home run in the sixth inning into the bullpen in right center field off Griffin Canning. That would basically spell the end of his day. We'll get more into him in a little bit. And so we had a 2-2 ball game. The Mets just bats did not have a lot of comfortable looking at bats against Clark Schmidt. You got to give him credit. He looked pretty good in this one, kept them off balance, and the Yankees bullpen similarly did a really solid job. That was until the ninth inning when Luis Torrens is able to draw a walk. Brett Baty hits a little ball to the right side that DJ LeMahieu smothers but can't complete the play on and get him out at. So it puts runners at first and second, and eventually would make it bases loaded. So Francisco Lindor, the 3-0 count, takes a pitch 3-1, and then unfortunately all he would get is a sacrifice fly in the left center field. But luckily, Luis Angel Acuna, with his speed, able to tag up and score the go-ahead game-winning run. Obviously, then Edwin Diaz comes in, and wow, what a miracle Edwin Diaz has been lately. He has looked so good lately. I mean, this is the vintage Edwin Diaz that we were accustomed to seeing from 2022 and before that knee injury when he got hurt in the World Baseball Classic. Jerry Blevins actually just said it on his little post-game broadcast for SMY as well. This looks like vintage Edwin Diaz. He looks like he is back. That was one of the best ninth innings that I've seen from Diaz in a long, long time. And I said that about his previous closing save on Sunday against the Cubs when he went 1-2-3 against them. But this was pretty nasty Edwin Diaz. He strikes out Austin Wells to begin the inning. He gets a lazy ground ball then from Ben Rice. And then after starting Aaron Judge 0-2, it ends up 3-2, just gives him the high heat, rears back, throws that fastball at his eyes, gets Aaron Judge to chase, and 1-2-3, ninth inning, put it in the books. The Mets take home the 3-2 victory. What do you guys think? What is your biggest takeaway from today's game? I got to be honest. I'm like happy the Mets won, but I'm not feeling all rose-colored glasses and super, super positive about this win. I thought that the Mets had every opportunity in this game to blow the Yankees out, and they just really didn't do it. I mean, a 3-2 win is a win, and that is great. I'm happy about it, but at the same time, this offense is still really struggling right now. So those are some things that I would like to see improve. You know, you're not going to ever apologize for getting the W, but I do definitely think that the Mets are capable of playing much better. I'll get into some of these details in a little bit. Metropolitan Jonathan's God smiled on the Mets today. Yeah, he did. We needed that one. Yanks gave the game away. Thank you for the 8th inning. Cruz. Yeah, Cruz, obviously. And then let's see, Mets know Max Fried. Yeah, the Mets do know Fried, and we're going to be facing him tomorrow on Sunday Night Baseball in the rubber game of this Subway Series matchup in the Bronx. So I'm not terrified of Max Fried. I know the Mets have hit him before when he was a member of the Braves. I know he's got that Yankee aura now with the pinstripes. So I think that a lot of Yankee fans probably aren't thinking like that the Mets have some history with him, but they do. So we'll see if there's anything different that he's doing this year, if they're kind of changing his repertoire and his arsenal and how he's deploying his pitches and his sequences from what the Mets saw with him at Atlanta. But the Mets have touched Max Fried up in the past. So he's not the boogeyman. He's not impossible to hit. The Mets have proven that they can do it in the past. So I think tomorrow is anybody's game. Obviously, they have the pitching advantage. David Peterson going for the Mets tomorrow. So obviously the pitching advantage is going to go to the Yankees, Max Fried versus David Peterson. But I don't look at Max Fried as like this scary, impossible guy to touch. The Mets have done it in the past. So we'll just see. If it's the Mets lineup that we think they're capable of being, that 5-6 runs a game kind of lineup, then yeah, the Mets can have a chance to win it. If it's like the lineup we saw today, like the lineup we saw yesterday, like the one we saw really through that whole 3-game series with the Pirates, then forget about it. Max Fried is going to absolutely shut the Mets down tomorrow. But at some point, push comes to shove, the Mets are going to have to get back to the lineup that we expected them to be. That's hitting the ball out of the ballpark, moving runners over, taking your walks, not chasing out of the zone. Horrible, horrible at-bats from Mark Vientos today. That sac fly aside, he took some really, really tough Ks today in this one. They got to get back to within themselves. So if they can get back to what they normally can do, back of their baseball cards, yeah, I think the Mets have a chance to win tomorrow. But we'll just see what happens. Metropolitan, the Mets are the kings of New York. Yeah. A little early to say that, but yeah, we are. I mean, what can you just say? The Knicks are the real kings of New York. Let's be honest. Go New York. Go New York. Go. Going to the Eastern Conference Finals, baby. Drop a like if you are a Knicks fan and you're hyped. First Eastern Conference Finals since the year 2000. I was watching that yesterday while I was watching Game 1 of this Subway Series, so I am super hyped about that. Overall, for the Mets lineup today, I mean, not a super impressive day. Soto had a base hit. He got robbed of another hit there in the 9th inning. He finishes 1 for 4 with a walk and a run. He also struck out in his second at-bat in this one. Lindor does have the game-winning sacrifice fly. I can appreciate that, but he ended up 0 for 3. He also did draw a walk. Pete Alonso, really nice to see him have a 2 for 4 day, including a double and an RBI. Nimmo wore the collar 0 for 3, did draw a walk. Vientos 0 for 3. Did have the RBI sac fly, but those 2 brutal strikeouts, 2 of them both coming in kind of big spots there, including one in the 7th or 8th inning, I believe it was, against, what's his name? A reliever for the Yankees. That was Cruz, I believe. So, Yeah, I mean, not a great day for the lineup whatsoever. McNeil 0 for 3 with a walk. Terrens 1 for 2. Also had 2 really important walks, including the one that set up that ninth inning, got things going. Acuna pinch ran for him, and that was the game-winning run in this one. And, of course, Tyrone Taylor had a double into the left center field gap that, unfortunately, the Mets don't even score a run on. And let's talk about that here for a second. Obviously, the Mets looking to do whatever they can to scratch across a run there in the 6th, and they end up in the 7th, Tyrone Taylor hits that ball into the left center field gap with a runner on first. It's Brett Beatty. It gets bobbled out there by Rodriguez, or by Dominguez, same thing, Dominguez. And then Brett Beatty gets the send call from third, and he is thrown out by just inches. Doesn't slide very well. His front foot comes up over the plate. It was the proper call at the plate by the home plate umpire. The Mets challenged it anyway, and it doesn't end up getting overturned. So a couple things about that. I mean, first, let's talk about third base coach for the Mets. I don't even know his name off the top of my head. That's a terrible send. Okay, Tyrone Taylor, your 9-hitter, laces a ball into the left center field gap. And I'll be honest, when the ball was bobbled out there and I'm watching on TV, I'm thinking, okay, probably give him the send sign. But I'm not out there on the field. I'm not the third base coach. He obviously has the best view and has to make that judgment better than I can on TV without knowing where the runner is. To send Beatty, to see him get thrown out at home plate in a 2-2 tight ball game where you're looking to get a win here, you don't want to drop the first 2 of the Subway Series and enter on Sunday night against Max Fried, the potential of getting swept. To send him there was a terrible decision. I mean, you have the top of your lineup coming up. You have Francisco Lindor coming up. You have Juan Soto and Pete Alonso if it gets to him after that, potentially with second and third and 1 out. And instead you make the second out of the inning at home plate. Just a bad send all around by the Mets third base coach there. So that was really frustrating. And I'm going to be honest, when that play happened, I just put my head in my hands and was like, we're not winning this game. There's no way that the Mets are winning this game. After that perfect relay from the Yankees, you give credit to Cody Bellinger and to Anthony Volpe for making a good throw to home on that relay. I mean, great job by the Yankees all around. You had the bloop home run from DJ LeMahieu, like you could see on your screen right here. And I'm just thinking everything is adding up against the Mets in this game. There's no way. We've laced a couple line drives today that have just found the mitts of the Yankees fielders today. There's no way the Mets are winning this game. And somehow the Mets were able to do it. And a big part of that was because of Griffin Canning. What another impressive performance from Griffin Canning. He ends up going 5 1/3 innings in this one. He gives up 2 runs on 7 hits. Of course, both of those just solo jobs by the Yankees. One from DJ LeMahieu, that's a Little League home run at Yankee Stadium. The one from Cody Bellinger was an absolute nuke, no doubt about it, out at every single ballpark in baseball. So totally respect that one, no doubt. But great job by Canning. You know, he worked in and out of traffic once or twice here and there, but for the most part, you just felt really comfortable. He had really good stuff, great command of his fastball. He was getting swings and misses from the likes of Aaron Judge and the top of the lineup on that fastball, whether it was up in the zone, down. He was painting the corners. Really impressive performance from Canning, whose ERA now sits at 2.47 for the year. This was his 9th start of 2025. I mean, this is ridiculous. Who could have ever imagined? I feel like I say this after every Griffin Canning start. Who could have ever imagined that this guy was going to be probably the best pitcher in the Mets rotation right now outside of Kodai Senga? I mean, it's, to me right now, Kodai Senga is number 1, your ace, no doubt about it. And then number 2, it's a toss-up between Clay Holmes and Griffin Canning. And this is a guy that they basically signed as an insurance policy in the case that the Mets starters weren't all healthy to begin the season. That's of course exactly how things went when Sean Manaea and Frankie Montas went down in spring training, and boom, he finds himself in the rotation, and he has just been tremendous. So much fun to watch. 4 strikeouts in this one, gives up just 1 walk, 7 hits, a couple little cheapies. Dominguez going up the middle into the gap where nobody was there. I mean, just warm burners from the Yankees in this one. I mean, I felt the same way about yesterday too, and I'm not trying to take anything away from the Yankees, but I will say this: I'm not moved by their win yesterday. I'm not moved by the Mets win today. I don't think either of these teams have played particularly well in these first 2 games. The offenses have been super lackluster for both teams in this one. Yeah, the Yankees scored 6 runs yesterday, but they all basically came on errors and infield singles and all kinds of weird plays like that, sacrifice flies. Both teams today had a runner thrown out at home plate. So, I mean, just a really kind of odd first two games from these teams. And we'll see what happens tomorrow now. Of course, Max Fried, like I said, on the bump for them. So it's going to be a tough test for the Mets, who have really had their struggles offensively lately. Let's get into that. I already ran through most of the lineup, so you kind of knew about that. A hitless day for Lindor, but he gets the job done with the game-winning sac fly. What is your guys' biggest takeaway from this game today? Let me know in the comment section below. Like I said, for me, I mean, it's a win, but like I'm not feeling like all that hyped about it because I feel like the Mets could have easily scored 6 runs in this game and ran away with it. And instead, it ends up being a 3-2 game in the 9th inning. So that's my personal feelings on it. But again, the only reason they were in that position to even keep it close was because of the pitching. So Griffin Canning with the great start. And then how about this guy, Huascar Brazoban? I mean, where would the Mets be without Huascar Brazoban out of their bullpen? With Minter down, with Danny Young down, now with Dednal Nunez getting sent down, and some of the speed bumps that the Mets have faced in this bullpen lately, the one steady has been Huascar Brazoban. He came in today to relieve Canning and has a great performance. He ends up getting us 5 outs. He goes 1 2/3 innings pitched, doesn't give up a hit, doesn't give up a walk, not a single base runner, a perfect 1 2/3 innings from Huascar Brazoban, including a strikeout. His season ERA now sits at 1.01. I mean, what a job from him. He came in to get Canning out of that big jam that he was in, first and second with just 1 out. So, I mean, all the world of credit to Huascar Brazoban, who had such a tremendous impact in this game in those middle innings, in the 6th and then, of course, completing the 7th inning. Let's go to the 8th, though. Reed Garrett. We got to talk about Reed Garrett because I'm getting a little concerned about Reed Garrett. I'm going to give a caveat to that, but I am getting a little concerned about Reed Garrett. He's walked the leadoff batter in now the last 3 appearances that he has made. So he did it the last 2 appearances entering this afternoon, and then he did it to begin today. He was fortunate to induce a double play to erase that base runner. But then with 2 outs and Jason Dominguez at the plate, this is the caveat that I was talking about. He got screwed by the home plate umpire. Okay, he should have been out of that inning well before it ended up being 2nd and 3rd with the Yankees threatening to take the lead. Okay, that pitch was perfectly placed on the inside corner of the plate against Dominguez. Should have got rung up. Should have been strike 3 against him. Should have ended the inning. Instead, it continues. He ends up giving a rope double to Anthony Volpe. By the way, huge credit to Juan Soto for the way he played that ball off the wall in right field to get a clean relay back into the infield. Because if it's not perfect the way that he did that, the Yankees are 100% sending Dominguez. He is scoring, and they are taking a 3-2 lead. And in my opinion, with the way the lineup has been going, in all likelihood, the Yankees are winning this game. But perfect relay from Soto. Again, this is all created by a missed call from the home plate umpire. Can we get ABS already? Can I get the helmet taps? Because this is ridiculous. That inning never should have happened, but still, you got to be a little concerned about Garrett because obviously after he gives up the walk to Dominguez, the double to Volpe to make it 2nd and 3rd, and then a 4-pitch walk to the next batter in the Yankees lineup that were just 4 uncompetitive pitches. I mean, not even close to the strike zone. And this has now become a serious issue for Reed Garrett. I don't know if it's a mechanical thing. I think it was the cutter that he was mostly struggling with in this game. That's what Gary, Keith, and Ron were saying on the broadcast. So this is something that the Mets do need to monitor. He has obviously been their next most important reliever outside of Diaz, if you want to also throw Brazoban in there. And they will continue to be, especially with the way that the Mets bullpen and relievers have been dropping like flies with injuries. So they need to get Reed Garrett figured out because that was not a great performance. And then even with the bases loaded after that 4-pitch walk, the final out of that inning was a laser to right field. Fortunately, right at Juan Soto. Fortunate because that short little porch in right field, you could just cover all the ground you want at Yankee Stadium. It's a ridiculous layout at that stupid. But not a great showing at all for Reed Garrett. So I'm a little concerned about that for sure. But we will see how things carry on now for this team. We know Dednal Nunez was sent down. They brought up Castillo, who they just acquired for cash from the Diamondbacks the other day. How you could actually have put that guy in that situation was beyond me. When they panned to him on the broadcast, I was like, you got to be kidding me. We just brought this guy in from Arizona for a cash-only deal, and you're going to put him in with the bases loaded in Yankee Stadium in a 2-2 game, get the F out of here. No way, no shot. I was not about to have that. If anything, I wanted Garrett to go down as the captain of the ship, and he very nearly did. He was fortunate, though, that Juan Soto was perfectly positioned to catch that line drive. Metropolitan Jonathan's Yanks one-run games are 5-15. 5-4-15, or they're 5-15? Which is it? I want to know, because if they're 5-15, that's brutal. In 20 games this year, 21-run games, they're 5-15. That's bad. If they're 5-15, I mean they're 5-10, which I guess is not as bad, but either way, the Mets have not lost 3 in a row this year. That's right. The Mets streak continues. They are still the only team in baseball here in 2025 that have yet to lose 3 games in a row. So happy about that. You know, this team doesn't let it linger, which is great to see. I think they do have that kind of goldfish mentality. You just wipe it, flush it from the day before, get on to the next one. So that is a sign of a good team for sure. But again, I'd like to see it be a little more of an impressive win than the way they did it today. I mean, I want to go back to the Pirates series because I'm specifically talking about this lineup right now, and it has just been totally running on fumes, it seems like, ever since the end of that series with the Cubs last Sunday. They scored 6 runs that game. Overall for that series with the Cubbies, they had 9 home runs in 3 games. And then on Monday, they score 4 against the Pirates. They were basically all excuse me runs, you know, little infield singles, sac flies. Granted, it was against Paul Skeens pitching. But then Tuesday, they only scored 2 runs. They eke out a 2-1 victory. But then Wednesday, shutout for only the second time this season against Pittsburgh. They enter this series here with the Yankees, and obviously yesterday was atrocious. 2 for 11 with runners in scoring position, 9 men left on base. They only scored 2 runs, one of them coming on a 2-out rally in the 9th inning. And then today, I mean, you know, you get 3 runs, you get the win, but it wasn't exactly a super impressive offensive performance from this team. And it starts at the top. You know, Francisco Lindor does get the game-winning sac fly, but he was 0 for 3 in this one. Juan Soto was on base twice, base hit and a walk. 1 for 4 is good, but I mean, where's the impactful like home run? Where's that big shot? Unfortunately, he gets robbed there in the 9th. I mean, you know, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, that rocket up the middle, which by the way was 108 miles per hour off the bat. So when I say Juan Soto's the unluckiest hitter in baseball this year, it's backed by facts. It's backed in reality. That dude has been rocketing balls all year and getting robbed. It just happened to be right at Volpe, who was perfectly positioned up the middle. But look, 1 for 4. 2 for 4 from Pete Alonso, which is great. But then after that, the Mets 4 through 7 hitters all go 0 for in this game. I mean, so it's just like there's got to be something that gets this team going. I don't know if it's getting Acuna in there more often. I don't know if it's rearranging the batting order, but the Mets offense has definitely left a lot to be desired. Overall, in this game, they go 1 for 7 again with runners in scoring position. They leave 8 men on base. And you're just not going to win a lot of games like that. And you look at the other side of the ledger, and the Yankees went 0 for 6 with runners in scoring position. They left 9 men on base. I mean, it was a battle of who could be less futile in this game, if you ask me. I mean, the pitching was pretty good from both sides. You give credit to the staffs, but honestly, this was not like the most beautiful baseball game I've ever watched. I mean, it just didn't really come off to me like a really impressive performance or at-bats from either team's lineup. So I want to see the Mets lineup finally break through. It's going to be a tough ask with them going up against Max Fried tomorrow, clearly the leading candidate for the American League Cy Young at this point in the season. But I just want to see them compete, put it together, and finally live up to that expectation that we had for this lineup entering this season, which is that, hey, any given day, they could score 5 runs. They should average about 5 runs per game, and they'll be good. If you take a look at the teams that have made the playoffs historically now over the last 10 years, it's not pitching that really matters as much anymore. It's scoring runs. Historically, it's something like 85% of the teams that have made the playoffs over the last 10 years are teams that average anywhere from 4 to 4.5 runs per game. So the Mets are kind of right in that area, but I'd like to see them do it on a more consistent basis instead of that. Well, they scored 10 that game, but then they only scored 2 the next game, but that still is an average of 6 per game. No, like, can we consistently Stop killing these rallies. Stop having runners get thrown out at the plate and put together some good quality at-bats for an entire game, for an entire series. Hey, maybe even for a 10-game stretch. Like, that's all I'm asking for here. It's not a whole lot, I don't think. Then again, I'm not in the batter's box, so not really fair for me to say. But guys, tell me, what are your guys' thoughts? What do you think about this win from the Mets today? 3-2. Am I being too negative? Let me know in the comment section below. Metro Jonathan's Jenks run one game. Okay, 5-10. Okay, so they played 15 one-run games, and in those 15 one-run games, the Yankees are 5-10. Okay, got it. So I mean, not terrible, but I mean, look, this Yankees team is good. I don't think they're great. I could say the same thing about this Mets team right now. I think they're good. I don't think they're great. I pretty much look at it this way. There's the Dodgers, and then there's a big gap between the next tier. And the Mets and the Yankees, and I guess you could kind of throw the Phillies in there, even though I think they're frauds, are all those kind of teams in that second tier. We'll see about the Tigers if they're for real. You know, obviously the Braves are going to be the Braves, and they're going to make their little comeback. The Cubs are in that tier as well. But, I mean, I don't think there's any truly great, totally complete team in Major League Baseball outside of the Los Angeles Dodgers. So, yeah, you're happy you get the win. You're happy that you move now, back to 12 games over 500, I believe it is. 29-17, that's right. So happy about that. We're still jockeying for one of the top records, if not the top record in Major League Baseball right now. But when you're actually watching these games, you know that the Mets have left a lot to be desired in a couple different areas. Specifically for me, it's been the lineup. That has been the biggest thing that concerns me with this Mets team right now. I believe they'll figure it out. Yeah, I do. I mean, you can't have a lineup as talented as this one on paper that doesn't eventually live up to expectations. So I do believe that they will get in a groove and get it going. But at some point, it's got to happen. Look, it's not March anymore. It's not April. It's May. The weather is warm. Memorial Day is next Monday. So at what point do we finally say, like, okay, well, this is just who they are. They're not going to hit with runners in scoring position. They're going to be a 222 team with runners on second or third. And you can't have that. That is a backbreaker. There's got to come a point where somebody starts clutching up, the rest of the team starts passing that baton around, and they start scoring more runs on a consistent basis. Because to ask Griffin Canning to pitch to a 2.7 something, 2.37 ERA the whole year, I mean, he's defying the odds right now, so maybe it is possible, but I just don't see that lasting. We already have seen the cracks with Tyler McGill. We saw what happened with him yesterday. Even when the Mets were down 4-1, and then when it was 6-1, it seemed like a winnable game if the Mets offense would live up to its expectations and do its job. But you're not going to get a sparkling starting pitching performance day in and day out the way the Mets did for virtually the first 45 games of this season so far. So at a certain point, the Mets lineup is going to have to start pulling its weight. They're lucky that they were able to get this win, if you ask me, and you got to thank the bullpen mostly for this. So for me, the award for MVP is going to Huascar Brazoban. I'd like to co-sign it over to Edwin Diaz as well, though. What a performance from Edwin Diaz. Like I said earlier, 1-2-3, ninth inning. He ends up with 2 strikeouts. He gets Austin Wells to lead off, then got a ground out, and then was able to get a strikeout of Aaron Judge. Started him 0-2. It went to 3-2, and then ends up throwing the fastball up at the eyes, and Judge chases to go down swinging. What a great performance overall by the Mets pitching staff against Aaron Judge. He goes 0 for 5 today with 3 strikeouts. I mean, what the hell? Like, did not have that on my bingo card. The guy has a 500 on base percentage. His OPS is over 1,200. His batting average is over 400. And somehow the Mets end up holding him 0 for 5 with 3 strikeouts in this one. So an all-around great performance from the Mets pitching staff today as they hold Judge in check. And a great performance, like I said, from Griffin Canning, who set the tone in this start. So before we wrap things up, let's just take a look at tomorrow's matchup. Obviously, we know Max Fried for the Yankees, David Peterson on the bump for the Mets. Let's take a look at some of the numbers for the Mets and the Yankees lineup against those guys. The Mets obviously have a little more experience against Fried than the Yankees do against Peterson. Overall, Pete Alonso, 35 at-bats, really good numbers. 275 average, 2 homers, and 7 RBIs against the lefty. Lindor, not so great, 28 at-bats, just a 107 average. He does have a solo home run against him, though. They are the only 2 Mets in the lineup with home runs against Max Fried. Other than that, not a whole lot of experience. Soto has 27 at bats, 333 average, and 2 RBIs against Fried. So, like I said, this Mets lineup has seen him before when he was with Atlanta. They have touched him up before. They have gotten shut down by him before. I think it is a 50-50 game tomorrow. It could go either way. Fried could come out and absolutely dominate like he has so far in 2025, or Mets could get to him because they've done it in the past. So that's just the way I look at it. Otherwise, or on the other side, for the Yankees lineup going up against David Peterson, like I said, not a whole lot of experience. The guy with the most experience against Peterson, this is from his days playing in the National League, is Cody Bellinger. He has an RBI in 4 at-bats, but doesn't even have a hit. So an RBI, a sac fly or something like that from him. Other than that, really not a whole lot of experience. Aaron Judge has 1 at-bat against him. He also has drawn a walk against him. So, not a whole lot of experience. I do like lefties on the mound in Yankee Stadium, especially with that Yankee lineup. Has some lefties in it. So, hopefully it'll be a good start for David Peterson. He obviously has been okay this year, but not like taking that next step toward becoming like a frontline starter like we were thinking maybe he would. He had a really, really solid second half in 2024. In my preseason predictions video earlier this year, I said that Peterson would emerge as the ace of this rotation. It's not been that, but it's also been really a solid performance from him. So far in 8 starts, over 44 and 1/3 innings pitched, he has a 3.05 ERA. So, how could you be upset by that? Really solid numbers just on the surface level. Last time out versus Pittsburgh, went 6 innings, gave up 2 runs. Then against Arizona before that, he only went he did go 6 innings, but he gave up 2 runs as well. So it's a lot of 2 runs, 1 run, 2 runs. There hasn't been like that 6 innings of shutout ball from David Peterson. He had that performance a couple weeks ago against the Phillies where he did really well, but otherwise really nothing too impressive from Peterson. But that's not really what we're asking for out of him. Just keep us in ball games. Give us a chance to win. That's all you're asking for Peterson. At his ceiling, it looks like Peterson's going to be a number 2 starter. At his floor, he could still be a number 4 starter in any rotation in Major League Baseball. I was hoping he might have a little more than that. Maybe he'll prove me wrong at this point, but I'm really, really hoping that the Mets can pull out, get the rubber game tomorrow at Yankee Stadium. James, what's up, my man? That first home run wouldn't have gone out in my local Little League park. So they were talking about that on SMY, and apparently it would have went out in 3 other stadiums. One of them was Petco Park. The other one was Houston, and then there was one more after that, which I can't think of off the top of my head. But there's that website, Would It Dong. Let's see if we can find the other stadium that it would have went out of, because that was a ridiculous home run from DJ LeMay. Like, come on. How could you be a Yankee fan and feel good about that? How can you honestly look at your other fans in the eye and say, oh, yeah, no, that's legit. Every team has a chance to play in the same part. I hate that. I hate that saying. That's like in 2020 when the Dodgers won the World Series and all their fans were like, oh, every team played by the same rule. Oh, shut up. This is so stupid. What are we talking about? All right, no. Austin Wells versus Peralta had one the other day. That was a unicorn. But DJ LeMahieu, they don't have an update on his home run from earlier this afternoon. But I know it would have went out in 3 other ballparks. 2 of them, one was Houston, the other was San Diego, Petco Park, and then I can't remember the other one. But, 333, 98 miles per hour off the bat. Are you kidding me? And then Juan Soto's hitting the ball 108 miles per hour off the bat, and it goes right up the middle to where Anthony Volpe is positioned to get robbed of a potential RBI single there in the 9th inning. Baseball is just a cruel game. Even Mark Vientos' sac fly, which was a foot in front of the wall that Dominguez ended up making the catch on, that was very nearly a home run. Would have been out if it went to the other side of the field. So, just ridiculous stadium that they have. Stanley Diaz was lights out. Yeah, he was. I said it. Jerry Blevins said it here on the SMY postgame show. Edwin Diaz looks like he's back. Edwin Diaz has looked tremendous lately. And when you're getting good Edwin Diaz and when you're not getting good Edwin Diaz, when you're getting bad Edwin Diaz. He almost can tell you immediately with his first pitch or two. If he's wild and crazy with it, doesn't have any command, you're like, oh boy, this is going to be a long 9th or 10th inning or wherever inning he's pitching in. Today, attacked Wells immediately. He did end up going 3-2, threw him that nasty back foot slider, ended up getting him to chase. and he ends up having a beautiful inning and then strikes out Aaron Judge, of course, with the high heat up at his eyes. You got the little bloop flare to the left side where Beatty was able to make the catch on the infield. I love it. And Diaz said in his post-game comments as well, he's feeling confident right now. He's feeling as confident as he probably has since coming back from that torn ACL in his knee after celebrating the World Baseball Classic in 2023. So I'm super hyped about it, especially with Minter being down, especially with some of the troubles that Stanek has seen, with what we're seeing out of Reed Garrett right now, with Danny Young being down for the year, whatever he may be. The Mets are shorthanded in the bullpen. Having a quality Edwin Diaz at the back end of it is of the utmost importance to this team right now. Metropolitan Daikin Ballpark was the other stadium. Yeah, so Daikin Ballpark, by the way, still the worst name I've ever heard for a stadium. I'm not even going to repeat the word before I get canceled. That is named after a air conditioning company, I guess. So, yeah, brutal. I would have stuck with Minute Maid Park, the juice. Stick with the squeeze. But, yeah, I know that one. And then I believe the other was Petco Park in San Diego where the Padres play. And then I thought there was one more. I thought there were 4 total, obviously including Yankee Stadium. But such a stupid home run. That was so annoying, especially after a loss. You hate to see your team go down the very next day, especially in, a heated rivalry like the Mets have with the Yankees here in the Subway Series. There's a little extra juice in these for sure. And to see it go that out and the Mets to go down 1-0 on that home run, I was like, this is gonna be the worst. If the Mets lose this game, I'm gonna lose my what. I can't have it. And I really did believe after they threw Beatty out at the plate on that perfect relay from the Yanks in the 7th, the Mets were not winning this game because they squandered a lot of opportunities. Beatty, bases loaded, first pitch swinging, put some good wood on it. I don't know if he hit it off the label or off the end of the bat. It looked like it was going to be 10 rows deep at that little league park in right field, but it ended up being, not even to the warning track. Easy catch for Aaron Judge there. I thought he had a grand slam, but after that, I'm thinking, we got a runner thrown out at home, had multiple opportunities, good pitching performance from Canning. I thought the Mets were going to lose this one. So I was very concerned about how this one was going down and how it was looking, but fortunate for that rally there in the 9th inning. Stanley, I underestimated Beatty. I think we all did, and I'm still not totally sold on him. I will say his swings have been much better at the plate for sure. Not even just including the home runs that he has hit, but his swings have looked a lot better. He looks a lot more level. He looks a lot more certain of when he does want to swing. He said after, I think one of the games that he made an error in his first stint this year in the big leagues that he was in between, common baseball phrase where you just not sure if you want to swing or not. That's the worst thing that can happen to a hitter in the batter's box. He doesn't really look like that anymore. He's not hitting everything, obviously. He's taking rips coming up empty time to time, but the swings that he does connect on, it does just look like he does know when he does or does not want to swing, which is a huge improvement from what we saw him in the first 3 weeks of this season. So really, really good news. James Judge 0 for 5. Peterson should walk him every at-bat tomorrow. Yeah, look, I don't think this is a great Yankees lineup. I know they're the number 1 offense in baseball, but for me, I don't get scared from this Yankees lineup. You got Aaron Judge. And, I know it's been a cute little story with Trent Grisham and with Ben Rice, and Yankee fans are going to pretend like they're better off without Juan Soto and having those guys. And that's cute and all, but I don't think those 2 guys are going to last and hit the way they are or have so far for the rest of the season. So you got Aaron Judge. And then after that, okay, so Jason Dominguez, he's kind of coming around, but he's not living up to that top prospect billing when they called him the Martian. If anything, it's because he looks like a Martian, but he doesn't play like one. Something out of this world. I wouldn't say that. A couple little worm burner singles up the middle today, whoop-de-doo. Misplays a ball in left field. Gets in Cody Bellinger's way out in left center field on that game-winning sac fly from Francisco Lindor. So I don't think he's that great of a ball player or a hitter. So I just think the Yankees do what they do. Typically, they beat up on the AL Central teams. They're beating up on some of the weaker AL East teams like the Blue Jays and the Orioles right now and the Rays, and they're stat padding. And that's probably why they have the best record or the best offense in baseball. But, when you put up a good pitching staff, a good pitching performance against them, if you take Judge out of this like the Mets did today, holding him 0 for 5 with 3 strikeouts, nothing about that Yankee lineup really scares me at all. If you add Giancarlo Stanton back, okay, maybe a little bit, but even then, he's kind of boomer bust himself. You know, he might be 0 for 5 with 3 Ks too, unless it's the playoffs. Playoff stand is a whole different animal, but I don't know. Anyway, what do you guys think? Tell me, what is your big takeaway from today's win? I'm just happy that they secured at least one win, that they could split these first two and go into Sunday with a fighter's chance of taking home the series in the Bronx. You know, like I said, the Mets have touched up Fried before. He's also dominated them before while a member of the Braves. So I think it's 50-50. I think it's a roll of the dice. If he's got his good stuff, probably going to go to the Yankees. If he doesn't, and the Mets can touch him up for a couple of runs, I think the Mets got a good chance as long as David Peterson doesn't implode the way Tyler McGill did on Friday. So that's just my feeling on it. Canning pitched a decent game. Yeah, no, I thought it was a really good game. I mean, yeah, he gave up 7 hits. He did walk a guy. Left in the 6th inning with first and second. Fortunate that Braziban was able to clean that up for him. But the only damage against him were 2 solo home runs. I mean, the bloop one to DJ LeMahieu leading off that 3rd inning. And then otherwise, or 4th, whatever inning that was for the Yankees. And then the other one was the solo home run to Cody Bellinger. I mean, like, can't be mad at that at all. You know, the Mets didn't give him a whole lot to work with, just like last Sunday when he was pitching a gem against the Cubs into the 7th inning. Mets didn't do anything. It was a 2-2 game until finally they broke out in the 9th inning, or in the 8th inning, for 4 runs on the Lindor homer and Nimmo's homer, and Vientos had a single, but he'd already long exited that one. So, I mean, he's pitching with almost no margin for error and still gets the job done. Yeah, he gave up the game-tying solo homer to Bellinger, but anytime you can come out, go into the 6th inning, only giving up 2 solo shots, I mean, impressive performance, if you ask me, from Griffin Canning. But guys, I think that is going to do it for today. This has been fun. I appreciate you all chiming in the chat. Like I've said before, it really, really is fun because it helps me not feel like I'm just repeating myself. So I love it. Thank you so much all for joining. Be sure to leave this video a like. Be sure to subscribe if you are not already for daily Mets content, post-game streams, and so much more. I got a big video dropping this week about a specific Mets team, one that we probably want to forget about, but I think you guys will really enjoy it. I've worked really, really hard on it, put a lot of effort into it, and I think you guys will really enjoy it. Even if you're not a Mets fan, just a little piece of baseball history. So be on the lookout for that. You can turn channel notifications on so you know when I'm going live or when I do post that video sometime later this. So the Mets do get the 3-2 win over the Yankees. They have evened this Subway Series here 2 games through in the Bronx and will look to secure the victory tomorrow and the Subway Series victory here in the opening series, that is, with the Yankees here in 2025. So guys, until next time, I am Tony Metro. Thank you so much for watching. Stay true to the orange and blue.